Hey everybody, and welcome back to Start, Stop, Sit for episode 8. And each week I give you something I want to encourage you to start, something to stop, and then also something to sit in. And this week is going to be no different. I want to give you the Start, Stop, Sit up front and then walk through what I'm talking about a little bit later on in the episode. So this week I want to encourage you to start reading a psalm a day. Again, I'll explain what I mean by that in just a little bit. I want you to stop assuming the worst. And then lastly, I want you to sit and rest in the salvation that Jesus has offered to us. So, what are we going to start? And what do I mean by starting a psalm a day? What I mean by starting a psalm a day is literally going to the Bible, taking the book of Psalms, and reading one a day. Now, you could do like I do and pick up the old trusty hard copy leather-bound Bible, or you can jump on the YouVersion Bible app and do this. And the reason why I'm telling you to read a psalm a day is I want you to match up whatever day of the month it is with a psalm and read that psalm. So, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, that is May 5th, so you would literally go to Psalm chapter 5 and start there. And I want you to read through 30 Psalms in a month. Now, if a month has a 31st day, you get to take a day off. You get to take a break. And then because other months only have 30. And if you read Psalm 1 through 30 the first month, or 5 through 30 this month, you can start tagging in 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next month, instead of restarting at Psalm chapter 1, you can actually start at Psalm chapter 31. And within 5 months, you would have read the whole entire book of Psalms. Now, sometimes it's going to be really easy to read one psalm a day, especially when you hit Psalm 117 that only has 2 verses. But then 2 chapters later on Psalm 119, there are hundreds of verses. So I would say look ahead for the week, kind of get a plan. There might be some days you read a psalm and a half, and some days only have a psalm. But I want to encourage you to read a psalm a day. And really, because the book of Psalms is just beautiful and has lots of different things of wisdom and God's words in it. There are psalms of praise, hearing people like David praise the Lord for who he is and what he's done. And there's songs of lament, where also the same David who was after God's heart, who God deemed to be the king of Israel, that he was brokenhearted and he was afraid. There are songs that talk about fear and anxiety and sin and all these kind of different things. But once I've started reading a psalm a day, it has changed the way that I look at my relationship with the Lord. It has really brought intimacy in my relationship with him. So I want to encourage you to read, again, a psalm a day, and every month move up 30. And if you're an overachiever, which if you're watching this video, you might be, I also want to encourage you to throw in a proverb a day as well. But there are 31 of those, so you got to make sure you either read 2 on the last day, we only have 30 days in a month, or you can just read 1 at a time and make it happen. So I want to encourage you, read a psalm a day, and overachievers do a proverb a day as well. So let's move on to the stop. What am I encouraging you to stop? I'm encouraging you to stop assuming the worst. Yeah, you watching this video, stop assuming the worst. What do I mean by stop assuming the worst? That kind of is generic and covers a whole encompassing topic there. But really, I want you to stop assuming the worst in things you see, things you read, things you hear, and the way that you interact with people. It's crazy in the world we live in today. For some reason, we love to be offended. We're looking for ways to be offended. We're looking for ways to be the victim. We think everybody is out to get us, and we need to stop that. That's not what Christ calls us to in his life in the Gospels. He calls us to love one another, and the way we love one another is giving the benefit of the doubt. Now, does that mean we're not discerning, or we're not making sure we're making sure things match up with truth? No, we absolutely do that. But we can't just turn people off and shut them down as soon as we hear or read or see something. And this is especially true in our social media world. And so many times we read something, we just fly off the handle, and we think someone's meaning this or we think they're meaning that. And before too long, we're spiraling down into the world of suspicion. We especially do this towards leaders, towards governmental leaders, towards church leaders, towards business leaders. And before too long, we've come up with this whole entire master plan of how they're trying to ruin our lives. One really word of wisdom we live by here at the chapel with our staff is we promise to always lead with trust and not suspicion. That means when there's a gap between what is said and what we see, we fill it with trust. And you know what? We're going to give the benefit of the doubt. We're going to really believe that person meant well, that they have goodwill toward me. But still, we're going to go have the conversation to make sure. And I truly believe if we begin to stop those negative thought patterns, one, we're going to honor the Lord by honoring the people that He loves and are made in His image, but also our relationships are going to get much deeper and much richer. And honestly, we're going to become a lot less bitter because we're not going to be leading with suspicion and trust. So stop assuming the worst. And lastly, I want you to sit. I want you to sit and rest in the salvation that Jesus has given to you. Now, this only makes sense or only applies to you if you have said yes to following Jesus, if you have placed your full faith and trust in Him. And if you haven't, I just want to take a quick moment and say, you can do that right now. There's no magic potion, no magic words. It's simply believing that Jesus is the perfect Son of God who came and lived a perfect life and died on the cross for my sin and yours, and that He beat death, He conquered sin in the resurrection, and 3 days later rose from the dead. And once we place our faith in Him, once we say, yes, Jesus, you are my Lord, I believe that you died and rose from the dead for me, you become saved. And that's the salvation that I'm talking about today. Because salvation isn't just for the moment that we're saved, just to save us from sin. Even though Jesus died for our salvation, He also died so that He might live His life through us. And as Christians, as followers of Jesus, that salvation should be new and fresh for us each and every day, living that abundant life that Jesus has called us to. And I think there's no better time for believers to rest in Jesus' salvation for us than right now. When so many things are uncertain, when the future, we have no idea what it looks like, there is no normal at all, that all there are questions and fear and anxieties, that we can rest in who Jesus is, we can rest in what He did, and we can rest in what He has done and is doing in us. So I encourage you to sit and rest in the salvation Jesus has for us. So that's it for today. I want you to start reading a psalm a day, and for the overachievers, a proverb too. I want you to stop assuming the worst, and lastly, sit and rest in the salvation of Jesus. Guys, we love you. If there's anything we can do for you, you can email us at connectthechapelbr.com or shoot us a little message in the comments below. We love you, and we'll see you next week.